Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here with Mario. Mario Lanzarotti embarked on a transformative journey in entrepreneurship after successfully exiting his first company, All in Sundry, in 2019. Did I say it right? Sundry or Sundry?
Sundry.
Sundry. Okay, almost. This pivotal moment led him around the globe, sparking the creation of the Zenpreneur Method, a holistic approach to doubling your productivity and income while working less and enjoying a more fulfilling lifestyle. Today, he's dedicated to revolutionizing entrepreneurial success, combining wealth creation with practical self-mastery and well-being strategies, guiding entrepreneurs towards a balanced and more prosperous life. Having coached more than 1,000 business owners, Mario has established a significant presence in the entrepreneurial community. His widely viewed TEDx talk with almost 2 million organic views showcases his innovative strategies for boosting productivity and achieving business success, all while maintaining a fulfilling and balanced lifestyle. In his role as a strategic advisor and a high-performance coach, Mario focuses on transforming the traditional narrative of success, guiding entrepreneurs to not only meet their business objectives with remarkable efficiency, but also to cultivate a sense of deep personal fulfillment and well-being. Welcome, Mario. I'm very excited that you're here. I know you for many years already, so that is even more exciting because now I get to ask you all of the questions that I always wanted to ask you. So this is very exciting. And also, of course, Mario has been not only a friend of mine, but also coached me through my TEDx talk, which was a very beautiful experience for me and a very eye-opening experience, really firsthand experiencing your way of, guiding people through really finding their inner voice and finding what makes them who they want to be. And that was a very powerful transformation for me and something that I like to share with people. And that's why I'm very excited to ask you more about yourself and your journey. So I would love to start this by maybe you just telling us a little bit more about yourself and how all of this started. Like, why did you become an entrepreneur? Why did you really want to make this happen?
Yeah, thank you first of all for having me here. And you know how it is with bios when they are being read back to you, they sound so much better when you write them. So thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, how it all started with me, I would say, looking back at my parents, my dad left Sicily when he was 18 with nothing but a backpack and a couple bucks in his pocket, and he went off to Germany to explore the world. And then he met my mother, and they fell in love. My mom got pregnant with my sister, and my dad went through a series of jobs, and eventually he started his own restaurant, which he then ran for almost 30 years. And I think it was a big pivotal moment in his life, and for me, seeing that as well, how much more freedom comes from being your own boss, from being an entrepreneur. Now, not in the way that most of us think. And most of us think, you have this incredible, beautiful life. Every single day is just like cloud number 9, when really so much of that journey is spent in stress and misery and suffering and doubt and uncertainty and in living off rice and beans. And that is what is not so much talked about on the outside. And so my initial view of entrepreneurship was rather more of like, hey, this is going to be the most amazing thing in life. And my first entrepreneurial gig started in New York City. I went to New York as an intern, and I was studying. It was part of an overseas study semester in New York at Berkeley College. And we had to find our own internship and then do that for 3 months. And so I went to a trade show for fashion, and it was a custom trade show for fashion. And then I saw this guy, Indian guy, he had these shoes displayed there. And I looked at the shoes. I was like, man, these are sexy, because, my Italian side is all about fashion. So shoes is one of the big thing. And then I had a conversation with him, and he told me that he had done this as like a side passion project. He was working full time, but he really wanted to build up this business, but he just can't do it alone. So I said, hey, I'm looking for an internship, but I'll only intern with you if you give me the chance to become your business partner and co-founder, if I really apply myself well. And he said, you've got balls, young man, but let's say if your deeds really match your actions, your words. And so then I worked with him, and he said, hey, I love working together with you. And he made me his co-founder. And together for the next 5 years, we built All and Sundry up from the ground, completely bootstrapped, build it into multi six figures. And yeah, at that point when I started out, it was all about, oh my God, this is going to be so awesome. And then, a couple months, years later, I was burned out. I had a panic attack. I remembered with like shortness of breath. I almost collapsed, and I had almost no social life. I was working 7 days a week, and I was, as a business owner, then I was making about $3,000 a month in New York City. Which, if you've ever lived in New York City, you know that that's very, very little to survive. But because I was just working and eating, basically what I cooked, which was rice, veggies, and beans, I was fine. I could even put a little money aside. But I had a moment where I looked at it and I was like, is this really it? Is this really what it's supposed to be all about? Do you just sacrifice your life quality for however many years until finally, hopefully, potentially you make an exit, and then you're good and you have what you call financial freedom? But I didn't like that path. And, for me, coaching and public speaking had always played a huge role in my life because I was so profoundly impacted by people like Tony Robbins that literally, helped me save my own life. And that was something that I wanted to give to the world. And my business partner already knew that. He knew how crazy I was about it. And I told him on day one that the day will come where I will tell you that I want out and we'll need to sell the company. And the day came, and then we sold it in 2019. And I left New York with a firm determination to find something that allows me to live a balanced, fulfilling, joyful lifestyle without having to sacrifice on the growth. In fact, I wanted to find something that makes me much better than the average entrepreneur in terms of how productive and effective I was at achieving my goals. Because one of the biggest myths that you see in the world in the world of the conversation that we're in right now is you can either have a well-balanced, healthy, holistic lifestyle, but then you're going to be like rather poor. Well, poor might be a bit extreme, but average in terms of the money, or forget about all of that, kill yourself, chop off one of your legs and you become filthy rich so that 10, 20 years in the future, you can spend all your money on whatever you want. And I was like, I don't like either one of those scenarios. Let's look at the middle. And that's how I got here.
I love this so much. And I know that sometimes when we catch up, I think I said this to you as well last year when we met in New York, and I'm like, I feel like I'm only working and I'm burned out. And it's so interesting because obviously being in this coaching space and in entrepreneurial space, we follow a lot of people and we look up to a lot of people and we want to learn from people. And just yesterday, I saw a reel by Alex Hormozy. Familiar with Alex Hormozy, right? And he said in this reel, he works every day, 12, 13, 14-hour days. That's just what he likes to do. And he's good with that. And the only thing, he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't, he doesn't meet friends, blah, blah, blah. He only watches Netflix when he needs a little bit of a break. And then he just goes back to work. And I'm watching this. And then I look at Gary Vee, another person that is known for work hard and do more. And his energy is very masculine, right? And I'm looking at all of these people and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to be successful? Literally, if I work like them, give me maybe 6 months. I'm done. I'm literally not going to be able to do anything anymore, right? I've been there many times. So how is that possible that you believe I don't want to say the complete opposite, but the opposite of what these people are preaching? How is it possible to create a life that is balanced, where you make a lot of money and you're still not sacrificing your health and your well-being and your life?
Yeah. Great question. And so I want to bring some clarity into this, because if I look at my own life, I work a lot. I work far more than the average person. And I love what I do. Genuinely, if I had $50 million in the bank account right now, and you would ask me, what would you do differently? Not that much, to be honest. I would do a bit more of the strategic work, which is where I'm working towards right now. And I would still do the same amount of coaching, probably more, because I genuinely love this, right? This is my case. But many entrepreneurs don't say, many like, dude, I don't love my business the way that you love it. I say, I get that, totally fine, right? So balance, this is the most important thing, looks completely different for everyone. Balance is a state of homeostasis, which means your body and your system, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and spiritually, you are living in alignment. There's harmony inside of you. For some, that means working 6 days and then one day doing all kinds of other activities. For others, that can mean working 7 days, but it is the way you work. It is what's happening. So the Zenpreneur approach is all about efficiency. It's about efficiency in two places, externally and internally. So let's look at externally, because that's much faster to identify. This is all about the people that I approach with this are business owners. So we look at your zone of genius, which is what you do best, what you love most, and what has the highest return on investment for your business. So if you're like, I love Canva designs and I'm pretty good at it, but the ROI for your business is terrible, so you're not supposed to do that, right? So we identify where is your zone of genius, because that provides the greatest amount of growth for your business and for you as a person. So that creates sustainable growth. So you're strategically looking at where should I be spending my time? And so once we have that aligned, then around you, we build the team, we build the culture, we build the systems and the processes to support you to continue to be in your zone of genius. Just like a Tom Brady, I might say something wrong, I hope not, because I'm not a football expert. I think he was a quarterback, right? So if a Tom Brady, right, is the quarterback, let's just assume he was, somebody's going to text that, he was not a quarterback, he was a referee. No, I know that he was not a referee. But you got to support you as the Tom Brady of your business to stay in that position for, 90% of the time, or even more than that. But what gets in the way? Now we look at the internal part, because you can build the perfect team around you. If you are a micromanager, if you are a control freak, and you have it all set up, what are you going to do? The work happens, and you look over, oh, but are they doing it correctly? Let me double check. Let me be part of that meeting. I'll talk to that client, right? And then what happens? Your growth will stifle and your stress will surmount, because there's a big part of you that's like, I don't want to be doing this stuff anymore. That's why I have a team, but now I'm doing it. Oh my God, right? So internally, we look at inner conflicts. We look at where are you not clear in the way that you're behaving? Like I say I want to go left, but I'm going right, in the example that I just explained. And then in another one, I always bring this example. So let's assume you're a business owner, and if I wanted to hire you for an hour of your time, let's say your hour of time is worth $250. Now, on average, how much time in the day do you think you're spent on procrastinating, overthinking, busy work? Most people that I talk to, I get the answer about 3 to 4 hours a day. So let's just say it's 4 hours a day, right? 4 times 250. That's $1,000 a day. Times 5, if you work 5 days a week, that's $5K a week. Times 4 for the month, that's $20,000 in opportunity that you are leaving on the table simply because of your inner chaos. Simply that. So if we did just that and nothing else, you're going to make a lot more money. You're going to have a lot less stress, and it will take you a lot less time. Just that alone is profound in the transformation it creates.
I love especially the second part that you said, like, not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone is meant to be a business owner. Some people just generally don't want it. They don't want the uncertainty. They don't want all of that, which is fine, right? I do think as an entrepreneur, there has to be something within you that truly wants it. Otherwise, after a year of working hard and nothing coming back to you, you're going to give up. But I also think you grow as an entrepreneur, right? You grow and you learn so much. And I think so many people go into this game expecting quick results within the first week, month, year, whatever that might be, but growth obviously
Sure.
looks different for everyone. And I would love for you to touch on the aspect of the internal, like how the internal reflects on our external results. Like, as an example, when I hired you to help me with my TEDx talk, I was lost. I was lost for months. I was sitting there and trying to really just be in my head, right? I was so much in my head, completely disconnected from actually myself, trying to write something and nothing was coming out. It was all bad. Like it was bad. Like it was nowhere near what it ended up being. And I had you bring me back to myself and my body and my inner voice. So many times we don't realize the reason why we're not creating the businesses that we want, the reason why we're not having those results is not because we don't know enough. We know strategy a lot of times more than we think. It's more of that inner voice that kind of holds us back, the inner critic that comes up of like, who do you think you are to do that? Who do you think, who's going to buy that? So how do you notice that it's actually internally you that's blocking you from doing what you want to do? And how do you get over it?
Great question. So I'd say it's always you. Even if you're like, yeah, but my business partner is not performing, and that's why we're not moving forward. And it's like, yeah, but you're the one tolerating it, right? It always comes down to you, right? Because there are two opposing mindsets that we have. We have the victim mindset, or as I like to call it, the victim consciousness, and then we have the creator mindset, or the creator consciousness, as I like to refer to both of these. And so the first one, the victim one, says, my environment determines what's possible for me and how I feel and act. Meaning, as I just said, well, my business partner, he's not doing his job. If it wasn't for him, then I would already be 2 steps ahead, right? Or my wife, she's stressing me out so much, because of her, I feel so anxious all the time. It's like, no, that's not true. Like nobody can make you feel a certain way, even if in our language pattern, this you make me feel this way, or I feel this way because of you is so common. Even though that's common, it doesn't make it true, right? So we give permission unconsciously, we don't know that it's happening, to our environment, and we allow our environment to determine what's possible for us, how far we can think, how big we can think. And so that's the first place that I look at and see as, how are you allowing things outside of you to determine what's happening inside of you? That's the first place that I look at. I did the same thing with you, right? I'm stuck. I don't know which one, the left, right. And then what did we do? I guided you into a meditative process, because I have a firm belief that says you already know the answer. Jess, you have your answer. It's already there. So I don't need to go digging and looking. It's there. So if I assume that it's there, then I know there's something in front of your eyes that you don't see that is making you believe I don't know the answer. And so because of this I don't know the answer belief, you can now spend weeks, months, or even years looking for the answer. And where are you looking? Outside of yourself. I need to hire another mentor. I need to read another book. I need the vacation in the Bahamas. I need to wait until the summer comes. Whatever you tell yourself. And so what did we do? First thing we always do is we clear unprocessed emotions, because the way we think is in direct correlation with how we feel. You can never think greater than how you feel. Try to come up with $1 million ideas when you're thinking about, fuck, am I going to pay my rent next month? Am I going to hit the target? You're not going to come up with great ideas then, right? So first step I guided you into is a process of just feeling your feelings, which so many people are terrified of. We can talk about that in a minute. And then once you felt the feelings, is to let them go. And then what happened with you is all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I know what I want to do. And you're like, yeah, actually, I remember. You're like, let's end the call here now because I need to write it out. And then you went and you wrote it all down, right? Because now you're free, quote unquote, to do what's already there. And so these are the two things that are so simple. They're not easy. They're quite scary to a lot of people initially. But once we guide you through that, the answers will come. You get into a flow state and you produce, and you're productive, and you're not creating from a place of scarcity in this fear and this panic mode, but now you're relaxed, you're open, and you're in abundance. And so that's where your genius ideas come from.
I heard someone say that business is like art. like you are constantly creating. And I really love that idea of how business is art, because if you look at artists take a lot of space to just be, right? You can't
Right.
create from a place of pushing. And I know you kept saying this to me over and over again, and I didn't get it until you guided me through it, which is so interesting, because sometimes we need that person by our side to be like, I see exactly what it is that you're doing. That's why I'm sure we have the same belief of like every coach should have a coach, or should have someone they can like help
Yeah.
them, guide them through, because we have our blind spots as well, like we all do, right? And so seeing like business as art, when we see it like that, it's like, can you allow yourself to feel? Because when you feel, when these emotions are coming up for you, then you have the space to create, right? So why are people scared though to feel? Why are people, especially in a very, like, business has been for many years very masculine, right? When we look at all of these big leaders, these big business people, it's still very masculine energy dominated. And it's very much just like head focus, sit down, do the work, grind, right? Like grinding and like killing yourself, whatever people say today and still continue saying. And it's like, oh yeah, pushing away whatever wants to come up, and seeing that as a thing that right now is not invited into the business space. I truly believe now, and I've learned this with you as well, is like, actually the feelings that want to come up, they're part of my journey, because they're teaching me something about maybe a new idea is going to come up, maybe a new business thing is going to come up, maybe that's exactly what I need to go through to get to my next level. But creating that space is scary. So why do you think people are scared to be with it and feel the feelings that are coming up?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a couple things to look at. I would say in the framework of the entrepreneurial persona, one is just human psychology, how the human brain is a survival mechanism. Like its job is to keep you alive. And uncertainty, something that the brain has not yet experienced, will always have a big question mark and will be marked as don't enter. This is potentially life-threatening. So you already going against your own sort of evolution as a human being that you have to overcome there. That's one part. The second part is the entrepreneurial persona identifies themselves primarily, more than anything else, through achievement. Right? Like you and I were part of that same thing, and we have these patterns all in us. These patterns helped us get to where we are. So they're not bad or wrong, right? But they sort of outserve their purpose at some point, where you're like, as long as I'm hitting my targets and I'm achieving my goals, I feel great. But if I have a bad month or a bad day, oh my God, fuck, no, 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 no. I don't want to do that. Because then we have the sense of like, we're losing control. And so there is this stigma that, and connected to women, when you feel your feelings, somehow there's the stigma that the feeling is going to swallow you whole. You can't handle it. It's going to throw you into a corner and you're stuck on your bed and you're going to go all over the place. And, you'll be like chaos all over. And who are the people that go through these more regularly? Women. And not in a negative or bad way, simply because the feminine is the unbound, the wild. It's the wild horse running over the prairie and just raging and like, or the ocean. You wouldn't look at the ocean when the ocean is all full of waves because it's creating life underneath the surface. You wouldn't go, oh, that's wrong, that's bad. But the purely logical thinking, which is mostly masculine, then goes, no time for that. Because if I now sit down to feel that feeling, it's going to derail me from my plan. It's going to take away my control. So definitely not going to do that. And then the third thing is, which is most accurate, I think, is we've all had experiences in the past with emotions, we call this trauma, where we felt something at some point so strongly, it was so overwhelming and so painful because we did not know how to handle it. We did not know how to process it. Nobody came and explained to us that, hey, it's perfectly fine to feel your feelings. We were like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? I feel all this shame, all this guilt because I failed. Oh my God. And so we never want to go back there again. So we avoid feeling our feelings because a part of our subconscious mind is like, You sure you want to come back here? Remember the last time when that business failed and you were crying for 3 days and nobody helped you because you didn't talk about it? Yeah, you want that again? No, right? So keep drinking your coffee, watch YouPorn, and watch 5 hours of Netflix every night so that you don't have to think about what's going on. That's why I see in having coached well over 1,000 entrepreneurs is always showing up.
I love this. It's so interesting because I catch myself sometimes as well when you're like mindlessly scrolling and then you're like, hold on, what am I trying to avoid here? Like there's something that actually wants to come. Why am I scrolling on TikTok for the last half an hour? Like obviously there's something that I'm trying to avoid. Obviously there's something I'm like having a hard time being with. And do you know the Disney movie Inside Out?
Inside Out. I want to say yes. It sounds very familiar.
So I watched it yesterday, and I'm saying it for the reason that it's all happening in the person's mind, and all of these emotions are like bad
Yes.
together.
Yes.
And what it, like the movie is all about, like they were trying to suppress sadness. Like everyone has their own character, right? You have sadness, you have joy, you have anger, you have I think disgust and fear. And so it's so interesting because everyone is like joy and trying to like keep, you know, the little kid happy and joyful. And then after a while, like everything goes to shit. I don't know if I can say this, but like everything goes like, you know, the wrong way. And they realize that they've been trying to constantly suppress sadness. But when they allowed sadness to come up and allowed sadness to go to the board and like, you know, actually do her thing, she was able to truly be herself and be authentic and express and feel through whatever she wanted to feel because she's been suppressing it. It's so interesting because sadness was trying to like come in all the time and they were putting her away and like, you know, forcing her to stay away. And then ultimately what ended up happening is they had all of these bowls of sadness, and then each bowl represented many different emotions. And like one bowl in the beginning, each had like their own color of like sadness was blue and like joy was yellow. And then at the end in the movie, each bowl had like all of these different emotions, all of these colors, because we are so versatile. We're not just one emotion. Like throughout our day, we're going through so many emotions all the time, right? We see something, we feel sad, we see something, we're happy, like we see our partner, and you know. And so I find it so interesting that like for so many years we learn to suppress these bad emotions, and then ultimately when we're an adult and we're realizing, oh my god, like I'm going to food because I don't want to feel my emotions. I'm scrolling mindlessly on Instagram because I don't want to feel my emotions, right? So yeah, do you want to add something to this?
So true. So accurate. Like just last week, I really wasn't feeling it. I was still doing what I'm doing. I'm still showing up here. I'm still coaching, but I could tell that I'm not fully where I'm normally at. I was at a different level. And I had a then session with my coach, and she guided me into a deep somatic process. Somatic, soma, the body, which means you are feeling into what's in your body. And the session was 60 minutes, and I think I cried straight for just half an hour, just cried straight through. And what came through was that I hadn't yet fully processed the grief that I was feeling, or I'm still feeling, with my old mentor, Mark S.A. Smith, who's a former Bellwether member. And I was like, and immediately I could hear this in my mind. It's like, dude, how much fucking longer is this grief thing gonna take? Immediately it was like right there. And I was like, hey, that's okay. As long as it takes, as long as it takes. And because of the lifestyle that I have, it's very challenging to make time to just fully process that, like a couple days or whatever, what might be required. And I'm aware of that. So I have other tools, and I use tools like that as like a power check-in, but I could tell after that one session, wow, my energy went up. My excitement went up. My ability to like push further and like not to say, okay, I did this and that's enough, you know, to like actually challenge myself, like think bigger. What would it look like if I double down on my energy and the way that I show up with my clients, right? I came up with a new way to deliver value to my clients right after that. And they were like, oh, I love this. So more value, more likely to get me out more business, right? So I think what you said is really, really, really important. And I want to encourage everyone, you know, if you do this process with somebody who is trained and who has also experienced it themselves, you can process emotions so much faster as if you were to try to somehow do it on your own. And that, again, brings me back to what you asked me in the beginning. How can people, double their income, reduce the time it takes, and have it all be a much more fulfilling and joyful way? Well, this is a big part of it. Feel your feelings.
This is so powerful. And I want to ask you, like, being in a society where it's still very like go, go, go. And I'm realizing that a lot of the people I still meet are very in that energy. And sometimes it personally stresses me out because I'm personally trying to shift, and this, to be more my feminine, and shifting my business right now and allowing myself to recreate myself and my business and my life in the way that I want it to look like. But I still feel like so many people around me are like very different, are very like expecting an answer within the next 5 minutes, and very pushy and very like masculine and very like, how do you protect yourself from that? How do you not fall into the same patterns when you're trying to shift, and when you're realizing, okay, what you've been doing before is not working, you're trying to shift to be more balanced, to feel your feelings, to create that space, but many people around you are not there yet. How do you protect yourself from falling back into old patterns?
Yeah, that's a super relevant question. And probably I would say, out of all the things that I can think of, the hardest of all of them. Because what you're describing is you're going through an identity shift. And you're in the middle of that. I'm also part of, I think we're all constantly going through identity shifts, but I hear you because it's very relevant to me right now as well in other areas. But what we have to understand is that we train the people on how they treat us. We do this consciously and mostly unconsciously. So if you're getting a message, if your clients are used to you responding to their questions like this, right, on WhatsApp, on Slack, or whatever it is, well, guess what? When you're switching to a more quote unquote balanced approach where you say on weekends, I don't respond, they don't know that. So they're going to send you a message on Sunday at 6 p.m. because that's just the time they do it. And then you see the message and you go, I don't want to respond to this now, but oh God, I have to. What if I don't do it? Then they're going to be unhappy. And the whole thing kicks off. And then you can't, even if you don't respond, your Sunday is gone because you're sitting there like for an hour just thinking about it, putting on a movie, trying not to think about it. But then you think even more about it. Then you pause the movie, you talk to your partner. Oh my God, I just have to share this right now. And they go like, oh, but what are you making such a big deal out of, right? So the whole thing kicks off. So one is you got to take responsibility. And you got to know that nobody in your environment there is doing this consciously to harm you or to like get in your way. Oh, you constantly talk about working all the time. I'm trying to be more zen over here. They know you as go hustle queen. So you need to re-educate. You need to talk to them. You need to have a conversation. The guys, from now on, just so you know, weekends, I'm not available on my phone if that's your thing, right? Or clients, only Monday to Friday. From this to this time, I'm available. You can text me anyways, but I'll respond the next day or the Monday, right? So you got to retrain people on how you want to be treated. And at some point, there might also be a very uncomfortable moment where you feel it's just not in alignment anymore, where one person is all about hustle, go, grind, live for the weekend, kind of thing, whatever that is. And you're like, it's just not me anymore. And there is a time where maybe you have to separate. And it's not coming from a place of like, they're wrong or they're hustling. I'm more evolved. No, none is better than the other. It's just a different path to choose from. But at some point you can discern and say, you know what? This is not for me anymore. This environment, this city that I live in, this house that I live in, this amount of money I charge, these clients I serve, it's just not for me anymore. And if you lie to yourself and you try to please people by forcing yourself to be the old you, you're doing a disservice to them because you're manipulating them into trying to like you or avoid hating you, kind of thing, whatever it plays in the mind. And you're lying to yourself because you pretend to be someone that you're not anymore. which then, if you look at business growth, creates a lot of stagnation, a lot of stuckness, a lot of friction, because you're trying to go in two ways at the same time. So I would look at my old way of being. How's that showing up in my life, in my relationships, in my business, in the way I communicate, in my pricing, in my offers, in how much time I make available? I would look at all of that, and then I would begin to set a plan in place, shift it, and communicate it. That's the most important part, that you got to have open conversations with people, because if you do it in secret and then you pop out the other way after 2-3 months of redesigning your entire environment, everybody's going to go, what happened to Jess? Oh my God, did you see what Jess? Oh yeah, she's weird. Like she does that whole like feminine stuff now. I don't know what's going on there, right? But you could actually inspire people to come along with you, even just a little bit. So I'd say this is really the crux of when it comes to making sure you're not falling back, to move through all of these steps that I just mentioned.
I love this. And I actually want to give an example of how I realized that I did that. So a couple of weeks ago, I've had this conversation with someone, and they were like, yeah, you should book all of these calls to get to know all of these people and do all of those follow-ups and like get to know people. And I immediately felt my body go, ugh, like calls, like talk to everyone for like an hour straight. Like what? No. And I realized last year when I had my little, depressive burnout episode, when I was just like, when we met, I realized I was doing that. I was saying yes to things that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to sit with 10 new people every week on calls to network. It wasn't fulfilling me anymore. It was draining me. I couldn't listen to 10 new people's stories. And I realized this year I don't want to do it anymore. And it doesn't make me a bad person. I just realized, okay, what are my priorities right now? My priorities right now are shifting my business, are shifting my identity, are creating the life that fulfills me and that nourishes me, and not one that drains me. And so when I got that message of like getting on a million calls, I'm like, no, I'm actually going to send these people voice notes. And I immediately said in a voice note, hey, listen, I want to get to know you, but we won't get on a call. Let's have a voice note conversation. And when I then got on the call with this person to do an interview, she was like, I really love that you said this. Like, it really opened up my mind of like, oh, I don't have to go on calls anymore. Like, I can just do voice notes as well.
Yes.
And so I was like, yes, oh my God, I was able to share my own boundaries, what I'm doing. And this other person was taking it on and reflected herself as well, what she wanted to do. And so it kind of like how you said, it's a ripple effect. Just because it's been done like this for so many years doesn't mean another way is not possible. And I was scared in the beginning. I was like, after I sent the voice note of telling her like, hey, I don't want to do a call, I was like, oh my God, what's she going to think? Like, she's going to probably think like, I don't find the time for her. I don't want to get to know her. And then I was like, no, that's right now my priority. And if someone doesn't want to understand it, it's okay. Like, then I'll find the people, or the people will find me that want to understand me. And I want to also touch on the resiliency of building a business, because I think that's part of that too, of like finding your voice, finding what works for you, but also building a resilient business. And I would love for you to talk about that and why that is important. My coach, for example, she also talks about sustainability in a business, like really looking into the future, not just how many clients can I make next week, but how many clients can I make next week? And how will that be sustainable for me to do this? For you're in business to be in business, to stay in business, not just to make the money and then leave, right? So why would you say sustainability and resiliency, is that a word? Yeah. Having a resilient business is important.
So crucial. So crucial. And if you think about it, a lot of the internet marketing landscape is focused on short-term results. Why? Because of the nature of social media, our attention span is decreasing more and more and more. And so if somebody tells you, I'm going to help you make an extra 100K in 90 days, or you don't pay. Great. You go, oh my God, I need this. Oh, wow, right? So the whole conversation, or much of the conversation, moves towards that. And even the people like an Alex Hormozy, for instance, like I think he does really, really profound work, promotes a lot of value. but you can quickly get the idea that he is one of those short-term kind of win kind of people from his mentality. But he's been at it for decades, and he doesn't talk about, yeah, short term. In fact, he says you need to put in the work over long periods of time. So I would say the first place to start out is relevancy. You gotta have a conversation with yourself. How do I stay relevant with my business? Right? What that means is you got to look at also trends. So, okay, you and I, we're both coaches. We run coaching businesses. We're well aware of the advent of AI. There are already AI coaches, and they will get better and better and better and better. They will get so good that at some point they're going to be as good as some of the best coaches right now. However, there will be a lot of people, I'm convinced of that do not appreciate that. I don't see myself ever working with an AI coach, no matter how good they are, because I love the relationship part of this work. And this is why, one way, you got to look at trends. You got to look at where's the world going. And you got to then look at yourself. Like, I mean, just look at the digitalization. How many people that we know, you and I, that right now, if you look at their online presence, holy cow, it looks like the age of the dinosaurs. Like the web, from the website to their social media to like posting quotes with like flowers in the background, and then some man in the back say raising their finger, and you're like, oh boy, that hurts. That's like so out of touch, right? So it's that, right? But then it's also about understanding how do you consistently build value for people, and especially if you're in the high ticket market, like agency owner, coaches, consultants, real estate. You have to look at yourself as a long-term growth partner. If you look at yourself as the 3 to 6 months guy, well, then it's over. And then what else? What else happens, right? So you have to build out a vision for the people you work with. Now we're going to move you here. Then we're going to move you here. Then we're going to move you here. If you have that, the lifetime value of your customer significantly increases. So you got to start thinking about not a 3 to 6 months program, but a 3 to 5 year relationship. That from that relationship, you nurture it so much that it leads to 50 other relationships. But you cannot do that if you are in the grip of the operational part every single day and you don't have time for relationship building. So that brings me back to in the beginning, right? Zone of genius. You have to take that into consideration. That's all part of building a sustainable business. So make sure you're always focusing on enhancing value, enhancing the experience. If you walk into a Louis Vuitton, you don't just go in there because you can buy a bag that has cool designs on it and great leather quality. No, you go in there for the experience, right? You come in, hello, mademoiselle, madame, would you like a coffee? Can we treat you to a glass of champagne? Have a sit down. We'll show you our newest collection. You walk out there feeling better. You feel more elevated, right? And so naturally, next time you bring your friends. But if it's just like a one-stop thing, there's no real connection there. At that point, you have to do mass market, which means you constantly have to produce, which is exhausting, which means you have a crazy amount of churn in people. And again, not very sustainable. So I would say those are some of the things that help you lead to a sustainable business. And another way of thinking about this, I find, is if you're an entrepreneur, you want to build a business that helps you build your dream lifestyle, not the other way around. And any dream lifestyle will take time. So what do you need for that? You need a sustainable business, not one for 1 or 2 years, but one for 10 to 20 years, so that you can have the dream lifestyle you want. So sustainability, it has gotten like a fluffy rap, and a little bit like an activist kind of like sustainability, but it's actually one of the key ingredients to a successful, joyful, fulfilling life.
Yeah, 100%. And I wonder, on the topic of that, what is a common misconception that entrepreneurs have about their businesses and creating this dream lifestyle? Like, what would you say? Why do people not get there? And maybe what is a misconception that you see, having worked with so many people have about that?
Yeah. Well, number one, it's not possible, because if you look at the media landscape, 99% of it is hustle and grind. You know, it's the Alex Hormozis, it's the David Goggins, it's the Gary V's. So I have a lack of role models. Hence why I have the Zenpreneur podcast, where I feature people that embody that kind of lifestyle. And funnily enough, is the people that embody that lifestyle, which is also a problem, is they don't really talk about it so much because they don't have the need. Like the more balanced and grounded you are, the less of a need you have to prove yourself to the world. And so the people that scream the loudest, the Alex Hormozis and so forth, they come big time from a need of, I need to prove myself. I need, hello world, look at me, look at me. And so if you are a well-grounded man or woman, you don't care. You're like chilled out. You're like, you have your systems and your business is working. You have a beautiful lifestyle. So I'd say that's number one. It's just not talked about enough. So you have this misconception that it's not possible. Number two, I would say it's another belief is it may be possible, but it's not possible for me. I can't make that happen, right? It's like, this is like, how am I even going to get that started? And I would challenge that. I would say, especially if an entrepreneur, how many times in your life have you arrived at a point where you're like, oh my God, how am I going to make this happen? Oh my God, this is too hard, right? You've had all that conversation in your mind, and then I'm going to find a way. And you found the way multiple times. This is just like that.
I love what you said, because now as I'm going myself through like this whole identity shift, this whole business shift, and like feels like I'm restarting from ground zero, I have to remind myself, I've done it before. I've done it before. Like I've literally proven it to myself that I can do it. And it might just look different now, but I've found a way before. And so reminding yourself of that is so, so important. Especially because as an entrepreneur, sometimes you don't have people cheering you on. It's like you have to cheer yourself on. Like you don't have people telling you, hey, great job. Like you have to tell yourself every day, hey, great job today. And so sometimes that becomes even harder, of like believing that you can do it. As one of the last questions, someone who's listening to this right now and is like, well, Mario, I get you, but I've been in business for 20 plus years. I've always been the go, go, go mentality. This is how I was raised. I worked in corporate. Like, this is what I know. What would be the steps for someone like this who really like struggles with that? It's just it became so internalized. It's like their identity, to shift from the masculine more into that balance.
Yeah, great question. And that's a very relevant one again, because there are going to be people that think exactly that, right? But here's the thing. Unless you truly want to change it, don't. Seriously, just stay where you are. What I'm sharing is not coming from a place of, oh, this is all better. You know, I am the enlightened one. And, you know, no, not at all. This is like, I'm providing a pathway that can work for a lot of people. For some people, they're like, bro, I'm hustle and grind till the day I die. And I'm like, I wish you all the best. I'm happy for you. But if it is not working for you because your health is not falling apart, you might be overweight, you're not working out, your sex life is tanking with your partner, your relationships are like, nah, and your business is okay, but it's not really like, you're not showing up every day and you're feeling like, holy cow, this is so awesome. I'm full of passion like you once were when you started out. If that's not the case, then maybe you want to peek into what I'm talking about here. And the first place that we start everything is by always taking inventory. We take inventory, very simple. What do you really want? Not what do you want, what do you really want? What have you grown accustomed to not wanting anymore because you think it's too late, it's too hard, or whatever excuse you have? What is that thing? We bring it out. And then you're like, how would it feel if you actually got that? And then I can see people's eyes light up. Oh my God, that would be phenomenal. Wait, you're telling me I could actually run my business, grow it, and live in the Bahamas and do it from there? Yeah. Oh my God, I could go surfing and snorkeling. Wow. Okay, good. Now what gets in the way of that? Well, one is I have a belief that says that's not possible. Okay, let's tackle the belief. Right? So we do one step at a time. For some people, that process is like a Ferrari. For others, it's more like a Fiat. It's more like a, like a slow drive through the Tuscany. Others are like, bro, I'm dialed in. Let's go, 300 kilometers an hour. I don't know how many miles that is. You have to figure that out yourself. Come jump onto the metric system. Everybody's in there. The US is not, right? Just a side joke. So the speed is based upon how much you can handle at any given time, right? And I'd say if you trust the process, if you lean in, it works. It's worked with a gazillion people, not just me doing this, so many others as well. And then we peel it off, like the layers of an onion. Like we peel it off, and maybe once we peel off one layer, you got some tears coming. And we're like, okay, let's be with that one layer for now. Let's just, wipe off your tears. It's okay. Tomorrow, next week, we'll approach the next layer. So step by step, however much you can handle. But I would say if you truly want to do this, then you can lean into the process, trust someone, open yourself up. If it's not me or you, there's plenty of trained people that can do this.
Absolutely amazing. Mario, this was really, really awesome. Thank you so much for being on here. Before we end this, is there any last thing that you want to share? Where can people find you? How can people work with you? Share all the good deeds.
Beautiful. So I'd say what I invite people to do is to reach out to me. You can do this on LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Mario Lanzarotti, or on Instagram. I'm quite active on both of those platforms. You can also send me an email. That's Mario@Zen-Preneurs. So ZEN-PRENEURS.com, Mario@Zenpreneurs.com. And what I want to know from you is, what did you think of this interview? What did you like? What didn't you like? What did you say, hey, yes? And what did you say, oh, no, hell no? I want to hear that, right? I want to have a conversation with people. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to create connections and to provide value, to receive value. And if anything from that arises, beautiful. And so what I'll leave you with is, let me think about this one moment. I'll leave you with a Zen proverb that says, the Zen that you will meet at the top of the mountain is the Zen that you bring with you. So if you think your achievements, your goals, your money, whatever is going to bring you peace, fulfillment, and balance, but you climb the mountain with stress, impatience, and frustration, guess what you're going to find at the top of the mountain? So maybe, my friend, it's time for a change.
I love this, Mario. Thank you so much. This was awesome.